So what's really exciting in the non-visual area and in the interface in the vehicle is there is a great deal of potential to optimize that interaction. Well, the consumer electronics space in the smartphone industry, Apple, Google, etc., are increasing the amount of information and optimizing the relationship we have with the phone. We've seen the automobile industry move much slower. They work on much longer development cycles. And the ability that they have to begin to reinvent that relationship is really very open. Now, while there's significant regulatory and guideline limitations, the ability to reinvent that relationship exists. Now, the real key, we feel, is connecting that reinvention with a mental model and understanding that a user has. So how do we take some of what users understand from the relationship with the smartphone and use that in redeveloping the relationship with the vehicle? So in particular, if you think about voice interfaces in the vehicle today, many of them are still working on a very stepwise interaction. Do A, do B, do C. Whereas if we go to my phone, you speak the whole thing at once. The information's parsed up, provided back very quickly. So the connectivity of the vehicle, connectivity to the web and beyond is what is really going to allow us to reinvent the type of information the car can listen to and tune to. One recent study we did was looking at the impact of a traditional phone with keypad versus the touchscreen on an iPhone. Just looking at regular 10-digit dialing and how people of different age groups and younger adults begin to dial the phone. And what we found is that predominantly among those who are used to using a traditional button-style phone, they're quite efficient. They feel the buttons. Unfortunately, when we go to new modes of interaction, such as a touchscreen, we don't have the haptic feedback. We can't find where our finger is. We really have to look. So if we want to optimize the relationship with a touchscreen, we're going to have to provide some haptic feedback that the driver can actually feel where their hand is without directing their attention and their eyes off the road. And that's one of the limitations that really exists with touchscreen phones in the car today. So if we want to look off the road, don't provide me with a haptic cue or haptic feeling. If we want to optimize the time the driver's focused on the road, the feeling that I can gather from my fingertip, much how the blind individuals can gather that from Braille, is what we use. The whole area of technology education in the vehicle is a really interesting area that's just not being properly addressed. We take delivery on a new car, and we may get an hour of the salesman's attention, primarily focused on how do I connect the Bluetooth device between my phone and the car, let alone how the safety systems or the relationship that I have with the different controls in the vehicle exist. What we've seen in our work is that younger individuals in particular learn quite well. Older men will learn, spend the time, can learn. Older women have incredibly difficulties learning new modes of interaction and new models of interface. So the level that the mental model of the designer or the view of the designer and how the system would be used can be connected to a model of understanding that the operator has is really key to promoting lifelong driver education with new technologies. The car and the automobile designers need to continue to innovate. But how do they do so keeping the driver connected to the information that they want to provide? As soon as they lose that connection, it's incredibly difficult for the driver to connect and reconnect. Unfortunately, the user's manual, YouTube videos, salesmen, none of them are really tuned to providing us with an education of how to adapt and how to interface with the new technologies. There's enough technology sitting on the shelf at this point in the technology industry and the automotive industry throughout the world that can dramatically change our relationship with the world and our surroundings. But how do we get people to use them? How do we get people to adapt to them? How do we get people to willingly pay for them in a way and optimize their benefit from these technologies? And we're not seeing that anywhere in the world.